Okay, so for the first video, I would like to nominate my Burn Guardian build to be the first in the series. It should not be surprised actually, because the Burn Guardian I found that to be quite effective when it comes to general PvE, and I have been mentioning the Burn Guardian build for quite some times now, and because of that I think it would be appropriate for me to be mentioning the Burn Guardian first before touching on the rest. Now this one is a little bit different from my other Burn Guardian video. The other Burn Guardian video I was looking at maximizing the damage and for the right environment, and this one I am looking at the balancing between the damage and the survivability, which will affect the equipments that I will be using. And so for the purpose of this video, I will be divided into a few sections. So for the first section, I'll be touching on the equipment, and the second section I'll be touching on the build, and the last section is that, you know, anything that I would like to mention in terms of rotations, in terms of utilities, and some other circumstances. I'll be mentioning those as well. So without further ado, I would like to get it started. So for the equipment, I am using the Rapid set, which is specialized in precisions, toughness, condition damage. And the rune that I'm using is the superior rune of Balthazar, which is condition damage and burning durations. Now, you know, as the name suggests, Burn Guardian is specialized in burn condition damage, so you will be using the burning condition to be your primary damage. And so, you know, it just makes sense for you to be going with the burning condition damage and also burning condition durations. And the weapon set, the first weapon set I'm using is a staff, Viper staff, and the Viper set will tailor into power, precision, condition damage, and expertise. Now expertise stands for the burning duration. It's just the name that, you know, the staff is representing. And the first sigil that I'm using is the superior sigil of smoldering, which will increase your burning duration by 20%. Now the second sigil is optional. You can use a variety of sigils, which I will be including down in the description, the link of, actually I will just give you the name in the descriptions of the sigils that I find to be you know, an alternative to the one that I'm currently using right now. Now why do I use the major sigil of fire? Well, it's cheap. It's about 3 silvers, and also what I think, initially what I think was I'm trying to tackle as many mobs as possible. I'm trying to attack as many targets as possible. And for a guardian, the staff has the ability to attack 5 targets at the same time, hitting up to 5 targets, and the execution time, as you can see in here, is only about half a second. So in half a second you can attack up to 5 targets, and then if you move around you can attack another 5 targets. And on top of that, if you use the major sigil of fire, you have 50% chance on critical. It will trigger a flame blast skill for an AoE effect of around 240 radius. And also the cooldown is only 7 seconds. Now if you use the superior sigil of fire, I think the cooldown is only 5 seconds. But other effect is the same. You still have to have a 50% chance on critical to trigger the damage anyway. So I don't find, you know, using the superior sigil of fire to be that viable for me in terms of financially, because superior sigil of fire is about 2 to 3 gold at the moment on the market at the time of me filming this, and the major sigil of fire is only 3 silver. So in terms of financially, having 3 gold and 3 silver, that's, you know, that's a massive differences between the amount of money that I have to spend. And also the superior sigil of fire, in terms of the cooldown effect, is only 5 seconds. Now the major sigil of fire is only about 7 seconds. So having 2 extra seconds would not make, you know, a significant difference between the 2 sigils. So that's why I prefer to go with the major instead of the superior sigil of fire. And if you don't like it, there's, you know, there are other sigils that I'm more than happy to provide you with the names that I think that might be applicable. So, you know, you don't necessarily have to follow with the second sigils that I'm currently having for my staff. And the second weapon set I'm using is the Scepter. Now the Scepter again is a Vipers. superior sigil of smoldering, and the torch I am using the superior sigil of balance, which increase the condition durations. Now, why am I using the superiors of smoldering and superior sigil of malice for my scepter and torch? Well, you wouldn't be calling yourself a burn guardian without having a scepter and a torch, right? And so the whole purpose of this set is to give you 100% of the burning durations, and that's what I'm trying to have. The longer that the burning damage extend on the mobs, the longer it is, the better damage you would deal on a particular mobs or multiple mobs. And that's what I'm trying to have. Now, when it comes to the build, specializations. Now, when it comes to specialization, I am using the Virtues and I'm using the Radiance. And the last one is the Zeal. Now, Virtues. Virtues, I'm using the bottom, top, top. The bottom one is the Master of Consecrations, which will make my consecration last longer and have the reduced recharge by 20% and increase the durations. Now, this one is the Purging Flames, and I have been using it quite frequently because it provides a ring of fire that burns foes and cure condition damage on allies, and it has about 14,000 damage, so that's quite huge. And I have been using it quite frequently in the general PvE because, as you can see in here, it creates a ring of fire. It's quite large, right? And any mobs that walk through it, it will have a burning condition damage inflicted on top of them. So that's more damage for you, in short. Second one, Merciful Sanctuary. Now, this is just providing me a little bit of a sustainability. Whenever my health reach about 25%, that will form a protective shield that prevent any mobs or projectile coming after me. And so it just gives me more options before I can pop my healing spells or healing skill and get back into the game. It just, provide more survivability when it comes to general PvE. Last one, Permitting Wrath for the Virtue of Justice. Now, this will increase the effect of the Virtue of Justice by having more burning condition damage to be inflicted and causing the burning to be more frequently. And it's good. It's really good to have because all of your skills right here. For the staff one, as you can see in here, that you attack with 5 targets at the same time, and that will provide you with more options to inflict with the burning condition damage. And also all of the other skill will be tailored, will have the effect of the Virtue of Justice on top of your user skill as well. So that can be this one right here, Simple Punishment, strike an area and strike for 8 times, and combined with that, it will, on top of having the normal attack, you also have the burning condition damage inflicted on top of that as well. So that's very good to have. Second one, Radiance. Now, the Radiance, I am using the top, mid, and top. Now, in the fire, every time when I have the stacks over the threshold by 3 stacks, I will have the critical chance, and the increase in critical chance of the Fury will give me the access to more of burning condition damage through the Zealous Flame. Now, the Zealous Flame is this skill right here from the torch. It will burn nearby foes. For the exact, it will burn 3 targets. All right, periodically 3 targets, and it has the option to throw the Zealous Flame damage to the targeted foe as well. So when it comes to a single target like the boss, you have the option to throw it on to the target. So that's what I'm trying to do right here. As you can see, you see the effect of me throwing the Zealous Flame, and because the more critical chance that you can execute, the more recharge it can do, and because of that, you have the options to, well, it's more like an RNG, random number generated aspect, because it's just luck. The more critical chance you perform, the more chance that you have for the Zealous Flame to activate, and because of that, you can use that to throw it on a particular target, and that's what I'm trying to have. So the more that you can throw, the more damage that you can perform on a single target. So it's just that simple. I don't use the For the other options, I don't use this one, and I don't use the retaliations because that's not what I'm after. I'm after the burning condition damage, and that's what I'm tailoring my build into. So the last one, amplified wrath. Now burning damage is increased, and combined with the block effect, which is this one right here, block attacks by healing, it will increase the burning condition damage. So it's it's common sense. For the zeal, now for the zeal, I am using the fairy wrath, middle, bottom, and top. Now the middle is fairy wrath, which will increase your damage against burning foes. So it's it makes sense to have this one. Now this middle one for the zeal specialization is a little bit different, because you don't use you don't necessarily have to have the vulnerability applied to the target, because most of your skill already done it. And in general PvE, the majority of the people, when you're in the party with them, they will inflict the vulnerability on the target anyway. So I don't necessarily need to have this. And the second one, I don't use a great sword for this build. So again, that not these two are not applicable for this build. So that leaves the third one. The third option is again condition damage based on your power. Now you don't have a lot of power for this build because for this gear, because I'm using the precision, toughness, and condition damage. Compare that to, as you can see in here, the Viper stat. The Viper stat has the power, precision, condition damage, and expertise. And as you can see in here that this one is more tailored to survival, so you don't have a lot of power. But regardless, it's you still have a little bit of a power for this build. And because of that, every powers, every little bit of the increase in the percentage of the power draw to increase your character in the condition damage will help. So 10% is quite significant when it comes to burning when it comes to the condition damage. So for 10% of the power, exchange that to the condition damage, I think that it makes a difference. And the last one is the spirit weapons will be providing you with the burning condition damage. So that's what I have in here: the sword justice, the spirit weapon. And so that will be the utility that I'll be using quite frequently for this character. And for the other options, well, Aegis. Well, Aegis, when an Aegis apply, you block an attack, it damages nearby foe, but it doesn't provide you with the burning condition damage. And so the last one is a symbolic avenger. Now this one is debatable because you deal more damage to enemies standing in your symbols. Sure, but that is one symbol, and you don't have any other symbols. That's it. That's only one of your symbols. And sure, it has 6 seconds of cooldown, but that's about it. And for the other one, you have the another symbol of swiftness, and that's pretty much about it. So you have two symbols versus to the spirit weapon. So the spirit weapon will last longer, obviously, because every time when you activate it, 8 seconds of cooldown. 24 seconds of cooldown, and it lasts for 45 seconds. And the command, which is the skill of the spirit weapon, as you can see in here, will inflict the burning condition damage on the target. So the more attacks it can perform, the better damage that you would deal on the target or multiple targets, because this one is an AoE. See that one is an AoE effect, and the radius is 180. And so in my personal opinion, this one will providing you with more damage options, and it will also providing you with more AoE oriented, as I already mentioned to you in the criteria what I was looking for: damage, sustainability, and AoE oriented. And so this will provide you with, this build will be providing you with a lot of AoE options. So you have the Sword Justice, which can also do the AoE effect. Purging Flame also providing you with a lot of AoE, and this one will grant you the increase in condition damage. And Simple also AoE, see, and that one is also AoE as well. And also this one, Cleansing Flame, It's another AoE, and your strong AoE attack will be the first one of the staff. So AoE, you know, you can use that, and every time when the mobs pass through, that's also AoE. And that one is just providing you with more might, will increase your outgoing damage, which is for the power and the condition damage. And also that one is just more sustainability. So as you can see in here, this build will be providing you with a lot of AoE effects and also damage. And for the elite, I am using the Feel My Wrath because it will grant me with the fury and the quickness, and also it will grant that to my allies as well. So the more critical chance that I have, the more zealot flame that I can throw to the enemies, and that's what I'm trying to have in here. All the options, I don't even use them because the cooldown is quite high. As you can see in here, 240-second cooldown, 180. This one is a little bit quicker, 90, but again, I don't use a lot of symbols. I'm sorry, I don't use a lot of virtues because I leave this one on most of the time. The other two, I only activated, you know, every. Can't remember when was the last time I activated this a lot. I only activate them when when I need them the most. So when the crucial, when I'm in low health, I'll be using them. So that's the only time I activate them. Aside from that, I don't even use them, to be honest. And for the Signal of Courage, that's 180. This one is tailored more healing, and this one is for 240 second of the cooldown. So I prefer to just have the Feel My Wrath because it will providing me with fury and quickness. So that is good to have. All right. So that's it for the specialization. Now I'll just quickly show you where you can get this rabbit gear using your karma instead of spending your gold on this gear. So I'll stop to that video right now. So at the moment I'm at the Lisa Temple, or sometimes people refer to it as a Cathedral of Eternal Radiance locations, and this is where you can spend your karma in exchange for the toughness, precision, toughness, and condition damage rabbit gears instead of spending your gold on. And so this is just a alternative way for you to obtain the gears. Now for the accessories, which will be the last pieces of gears that I'll be covering for my Burn Guardian. I have the variety of options for use. So feel free to pick whatever that you can you have the resources to spend on, because obviously not many people will be having the access to Living Story Season 2, and so because of that, you may not have the access to the Sinisters set, but I'll be providing you with a variety of options so that you can pick which one that you have and which one that you don't, which one that you have enough resources to spend on. So Option one is the one that I'm currently using. I'm using the Viper's pack piece, which is coming from the Blood Ruby pack. Blood Ruby is from the new map called Bloodstone Fen, and that is the first map of the Living Story Season 3. At the time of me filming this video, the Living Story Season 3 is currently available for free. The first chapter is available for free, but now I don't know if in the future they will have an option for you to pay for it. That's what they did with Living Story Season 2, so that's something that I don't know, but I would think that that is the direction that they're heading into. And so if you have it already, don't worry. If you don't, and I would highly recommend you to be going and get it right now. Otherwise, finish the first story of the Living Story Season 3. Otherwise, you will have to spend a little bit of gem to get the access to that. And so Blood Ruby pack piece, I'll be using Vipers because that one will allow you to select the stat of the Viper. Second option, not second option. For the amulet, I'm using Sinisters, which is available from Living Story Season 2. Accessories, I'm using Sinisters. For the rings, I'm using a hybrid of the Rabbit and Vitality. So it will be Precision, Toughness, Vitality, and Condition damage. Option 2. Option 2 will be Viper pack piece and using precision, toughness, vitality, and condition damage for amulet, rings, and accessories. Option 3. Option 3 will be using Rampager for the pack piece, and the rest of them are going to be precision, toughness, vitality, and condition damage. Option 4. Option 4 will be the rest of the gear will be Rampagers, which is power, vitality, and condition damage, if I remember that. No, actually, power, precision, and condition damage. So that's option 4. So just take your pick, whatever that you have enough resources to spend on. And just a little bit of for your information, you can get the ascended accessory from the guild combinations. Now the guild combination come from the guild missions. So if you haven't enjoyed a guild already, I would highly recommend you to do so, and so that you have the access to the tokens, guild commendations, that you can spend on the ascended accessory for a reasonable amount of price. Actually, it's cheap. It's not reasonable. It's actually cheap to obtain the accessory ascended through the guild commendations. For the rings, ascended rings, you can get them from the Fractal of the Mist. Now, if you don't have the resources or ability to do the higher tier of Fractal of the Mist, you can do the lower one. The lower one, which is, it might take you a little bit of time to be able to obtain the full ascended rings, but you can substitute them with Andrea until you have enough resources to spend on the ascended. And for the amulet, I think that you can spend on Lawrence, which is about 30 or 40 if I remember them correctly. I can't remember exactly on top of my head right now, but for the videos, I'll put up the link, I'll put up the image of how much would it cost you for the amulet, ascended amulet. And for the pack piece, sometimes it can be quite expensive to obtain. So don't worry about the ascended if you don't have the resources to spend on. Just stick with the exotic or the rare one. If you don't have the budgets to spend on the exotic one, it's completely fine. You don't have to spend a lot of money in this build anyway. For the purpose of general PvE, it will be able to cover you with a lot of what you are going to do. So you don't have to if you don't have enough resources, that's fine. Just stick with a rare one until you can afford the ascended. So don't worry too much about that. So that's what I would like to recommend you to do. And the last section that I would like to cover is in regard to the magic find. Now the magic find will be able to providing you with the increasing the chance of you to get a better loot. Now again, it's purely on RNG, random number generated, and so because of that, you may have enough luck to get a better one, or you may not. So it's purely random. And so, but having an increase in the luck of the magic find is better than none, right? And so the last section that I would like to mention is in regard to the food. Now in the list of this video, I would have a number of food that can increase your magic find so that you can spend on and increasing in your luck so that you can get a better loot from the mobs. And also the other option is that if your guild has a option for you to increase the magic find from the guild buff, feel free to use as well, because they're the more area, right? And if you have the budget or if you have the resources to spend on a infusions that can increase your magic find, feel free to spend that one onto your amulet. And so the more magic find that you have, the better, right? Better than having nothing. And so that's what I would recommend you to do. And so this will conclude with the Burn Guardian, and I wish you luck and have fun killing the mobs. So any feedback that you have about this build, feel free to leave down in the comments, and I will try to answer as best as I can. Aside from that, good luck, have fun, and have a good day.